and He'll show us. But there's something else that God wants us to do. Every child of God needs a Paul in their life. You say, what? Really, Brother Johnny? What do you mean, needs a Paul? Listen to what Paul said over there in the 4th chapter, in the 9th verse of the Philippian letter. As a matter of fact, turn over there with me. I want you to see this. Go to Philippians 4 and 9 real quick. Philippians 4 and 9. Listen to what the Apostle Paul said that you, and every one of us needs somebody to watch. I've shared this with you before. Philippians 4 and 9. I've shared this with you before. The child was in her bedroom, a young lady. There was a terrible storm, and boy, we've been having some here the last few months. And Mom and Dad's bedroom was right next door. She cried out and said, Daddy, I'm afraid. She said, honey, just pray and talk to the Lord. He'll help you. She said, I know He'll help me, Daddy. She said, but right now I need somebody with skin on. Yeah. Every once in a while, you and I need somebody with skin on. That's our Paul. We need somebody to show us how to do it. Listen to what Paul said. Those things which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do. And the God of peace shall be with you. Yes, my friends, there are, and I thank God. I want you to know in McFerrin Church, there are people here that will help you be more like Christ. I'm not going to name any names, but I'll guarantee you every one of us can find somebody else in this church or a godly Christian that can help us to be more like Christ. You know what happens if you don't aim for a bullseye, if you just take a gun and just start shooting everywhere, you'll never hit the bullseye. But if you've got a bullseye, if you've got something to aim at, then you've got a chance of hitting it. We as the people of God need to understand that part of the maturing process, it's important to know that we need someone to be like. Now, ultimately, the one we need to be like is Jesus. Yeah. But you know what happens, as I said before, with many of us? We all realize, well, we'll never be like Jesus. And then our human nature is this. Well, I'm not even going to try. If I can't be like Jesus, I'm not even going to try. Well, no, don't do that. Find somebody that'll help you. Find first the Barnabas that'll hold you accountable. You're working on this together. Then grab hold of a Paul. The next thing every one of us need to do, we need to come. We need to connect. We need to continue on. And we need to contribute. Every one of us. This is a call to serve. Contribute. Did you know every single person in this church house, they can make a contribution? Those that have been saved, you can contribute by getting saved, knowing the Lord, and then become a part of this body. And your life will begin, my friend, to be a life that is a joy unspeakable and full of glory. I did not say without trouble. I did not say that everything would go perfect. I just said that you be walking with Jesus. But the Lord wants us all to contribute. He wants us to serve the fellowship. You know what He's talking about there? Just serving the church. Finding some way that God can use you for His honor and glory. And that doesn't mean everybody needs to have a job. It is amazing to me. Someone said, if I can't be the superintendent, I don't want to be anybody. If I can't be the pastor, I don't want to be anybody. If I can't teach that Sunday school class, I don't want to do anything. Let me tell you something. There is something for every single one of us to do. And what I encourage you to do is say, Lord, what would you have me to do? I am here, listen, to serve. I always tell folks, the church is not here for you. You are here for the church, and you'll give God honor and glory when you're here serving God. You'll get what you want and what you need from this church when God is using you for His honor and glory. It's making a contribution. You know what, for some of you it may be? All of us need to pray on a regular basis, but there are some folks, my friends, that have the gift of prayer. And buddy, you can just tell, even when I'm preaching, I can tell they're praying for me. And there are some of you that have a wonderful way of knowing just when to make the right call and to make a call to encourage someone. There's some of you that can put on a note what none of us could ever dream to put on a note. But I want to tell you something. You have some way that you can serve this body. You know what? I even appreciate those of you that keep roll for Sunday school. I appreciate those of you that work as ushers. I appreciate those of you, my friends, that make those calls to those that have the special need. I know, I hear about them most of the time. And you know what someone told me the other day, and I want this church to know this. this is probably one of the greatest compliments that can be paid upon a church, is that they have never been to a place where the people are more friendly and more loving than in a place like McFerrin Church. And you know what? You have to make that effort this morning. That's what serving is. The next place you need to serve is in the family. Ephesians 5:22 through Ephesians 6:4 tell us, and let me explain something to you. I've said often that, you know, we've heard all of our lives that the man's home is his castle. And so we think of him as the king, and he's sitting on his throne. When he walks in the door, the wife runs up and says, "How was your day, honey? Supper be ready in a few moments." The son comes and runs to get his slippers. The little girl comes and says, "Daddy, what can I do for you?" And oh, don't we men wish it was like that? Yeah. If it's like that at your house, I'll be there tomorrow. We're going to trade places for a while. Okay? "Oh, no. And you say, "Well, Brother Carver, isn't that the way it's supposed to be?" That's what the world says. But you know, when it's referring to the fact that the home is man's castle, you know what the head of the castle was responsible to do? To make sure the castle was safe. To make sure the castle had enough money to function. To make sure the needs of everyone in the castle were taken care of. You see, that's God's concept. We are to, my friends, contribute by serving in the home. The husband or the father is to serve the family. The children are to serve mom and dad, and mom is to serve dad and the children. When we're all, listen again now, it goes back to the maturing process. The maturing process takes place when I am not self-centered, but I am God-centered, which will make me others-centered. It's about everybody else. I am convinced that when you and I do what God would have us to do, to His glory, He'll provide everything that we need. That's the way God works, my friends. You'll never be able to satisfy yourself. You'll never make enough money. You'll never be in a high enough position. You'll never, my friends, live in a big enough house or drive a nice enough car if you try to do it yourself. But the important thing is when you contribute to the glory of God, I promise you your life will count for Jesus. And the next thing you need to do is you need to serve a young Timothy. Now here's how I want you to visualize this. I need somebody to walk with me in my maturing process or in my connecting process. I need to make a connection here. There's my Barnabas. It's somebody that's walking along beside me going through the same things. I need someone to reach out for. That's the Apostle Paul. You need a Paul. That's going to help you in your maturing process and the continuation. And then if you're doing it like God wants you to, then you'll reach back here for that young Timothy. Who can I help? Who is it that God wants me? And you know what? If you'll pray, this church is full of young men and young women. And you know what it needs to be? It needs to be the older men that have been on the way longer, reaching back for the younger men. Yeah, and finding the one about along the same walk with you this way. Oh, I'm convinced today that it's important that I reach back and find the Timothy. Listen to what the Apostle Paul said, "In the things that thou hast heard of me among many witnesses, the same commit thou to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." In other words, you got to help somebody. Let me explain something to you. If you've got a problem, and I mean a big problem, big enough problem that you've taken it to the Lord. If you're not any better now, you know what your problem is? Is all you're thinking about is your problem, so you're self-centered. If you'll take it to the Lord and leave it with the Lord, typically what the Lord will have you do is forget that problem and go help the other fellow with his problem. Now, Brother Carver, that doesn't make a lick of sense. It doesn't to the world, not in the capitalistic society when it's all about gain and fortune and everybody looking up to you. But let me explain something to you. You would think in the eyes of the world, the pastor's at the top of the church. Did y'all know that? Yeah. I run things around here. If you want to know what's going on or if you want any authority, you come see me. Because you know what? I'm down here in the eyes of God, and all I'll do is give you another job that you can do to serve somebody else. Because that's where I am. The difference is, Jesus said, I didn't come to be ministered to, but to minister. I didn't come to be served, but to serve. And to give my life a ransom. And as a result, we want to serve Him to His glory. Folks, it only works when God is in charge. And I want you to know we need Timothy. Now, here's what it all sums up to now. How do you make our lives count? And I'm through.